Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third installation of the GNI Live training sessions this week. I'm your host, Eugene Okumu, and I'll be taking you through today's session, which will be looking at data journalism. So we've already had storytelling with Google Earth, that was on Monday, and yesterday on Tuesday, we had a session on verification. So for Thursday, we'll have a session on environmental journalism and wind up with advanced search on Friday. So thank you so much for following the sessions so far this week, and I hope you've had some wonderful insights into some of the tools that some of the tools and tips that we've been sharing with you throughout this week. And I hope you're also looking forward to what will be coming up in the 2 days that we have left for the GNI live bootcamp for this week, and that is for Sub-Saharan Africa. As I've mentioned, my name is Eugene Okumu. I'm the teaching fellow for the Google News Lab in Sub-Saharan Africa, and I'm glad you're tuned in. So my email address is eugenepatrick@google.com. That is just in case you see something of interest that you'd want to ask a follow-up question on in the course of the session or after the session. So feel free to reach out and I'll be glad to assist as and when I can. Right, so as I've mentioned, we've had sessions on storytelling with Google Earth. That was on Monday. And yesterday we looked at verification and how to tell fact from fiction and misinformation for online storytelling. So today we're going to focus on data journalism, and then tomorrow we'll have a session on environmental journalism. And we wind up with the week with the advanced search on Friday. So I hope you have enjoyed the sessions you've attended so far and are looking forward to what is left. Right, so before we get into today's session, I'll just quickly run through some of the pillars that inform the work we do with the Google News Initiative. And our main aim is to strengthen and elevate quality journalism. And this is especially with the advent of such phenomenon as clickbait and fake news, as it is popularly called. But this is basically misinformation, disinformation, that is skewing information out of context or presenting information with the intent to mislead. And the other pillars, as I've also mentioned with the previous sessions, is to help news organizations evolve their business models and drive sustainable growth. And then finally, we're also empowering news organizations through technological innovations. 2 ways in which we do this. We have a team of developers regularly putting together some of the tools that are available on our platform, g.co/news training. And then we also have the second approach, which is a Google News Innovation Challenge, which is basically funding news organizations and individuals who create solutions for better storytelling online. So these are the 3 pillars of the Google News Initiative. And our main focus is with the trainings is to elevate and strengthen quality journalism through training on some of the tools and techniques that we'll be looking at today. For more information on the news trainings, g.co/news training is a link you want to visit. There you'll have an opportunity to sign up to thematic courses, and these are basically designed to help reporters find, verify, and tell news stories online. Right, so as we get into it, as I've mentioned, today's session is going to be on data journalism. And as we're aware, the delivery of news has changed in subsequent years, and it's no longer just text and image heavy. We're also looking at instances where we have animated elements to news stories, such as what we're looking at on screen. This is a visualization by Reuters that shows how the world is drowning in plastics, and how a lot of manufacturers are creating plastic content that then ends up choking our ecosystems. If you think about how oceans are affected, how even farm animals are affected depending on where you are and what farming practices are carried out by farmers. So we'll be looking at how we can create some of these visuals by ourselves. First, by also looking at where we can source for content that forms the backbone of the visualizations the visualization that we're looking at on screen. Right, so we'll start with the Google data sources, and right off the mark, we're going to get into dataset search. So dataset search is a platform that enables a user to source for datasets that are publicly available. And what Google has done is we've created a platform that enables you to cut out the noise, so to speak, with regards to looking for datasets. I'm sure as many of you will attest is that there's always a challenge of using just the regular Google search to find information online because of the multitude of search results that you will find. But dataset search limits it to just datasets that are available online, and I'll quickly show us a demo of how that works. All right, so I'll quickly open a browser and where we'll have the dataset search platform available so that you can then look at how it works and as well and understand some of the elements that are contained within the platform. And as I've mentioned throughout the week, a lot of our tools and platforms basically mirror the Google search platform as we have known it for the last 22 or so years. But then over time, we've also realized that there's a need to sort of refine how the various platforms work depending on what it is you're looking for. And as I've mentioned with the Google News initiative, the whole idea is to enable journalists to operate faster in a digital world where information moves fairly quickly. So this is the dataset search platform. You have the search bar where you can look for information of interest. And then you also have, I would call them predetermined data sets depending on global interest points. At this juncture, we have a lot of interest in coronavirus and COVID-19, but then also global temperatures have had an impact on people. So people are looking for temperatures online. So here we'll quickly type, for example, coronavirus 2019 and see what data sets are already available online. And as you can see, you have a World Health Organization report on the coronavirus disease situation report. So a few things I'd like to point out about this. On the left side of the screen, you have all the data sets available with the keyword coronavirus 2019 that are available online in one form or another. So here you see, for example, there's a report by the World Health Organization, there's one by the Center for Disease Control, and then you have jhu.edu, then you have Kaggle, then you have Statista, Next Strain, and so on and so forth. So these are all publishers who've made available an element of reports. And if we have a look at the top panel here, you can see a few filters that you can use to further refine the kind of reports that you're finding online, because the question has often come up with discussions on dataset search on why some of the information contained in the datasets is only partially visible. So some publishers of reports of datasets rather have only made partial visibility on their content, and therefore the filters will help you to get results depending on what kind of information you're looking for and the extent of access that you're also interested in. So in this instance, we're looking at the filter on last updated, and if you click that, you can have you have up to 3 filters. So we can go with the past month, and as the filter works, you'll realize that the types of reports you're getting also changes. Here we still have up to 100 data sets available, and then you can go to download format. It just depends on what kind of format you're looking at. So there's table, there's documents, image, text, archive, and other. So these are just categorizations of information contained in the data sets, or rather how the data sets are presented. Then you also have usage rights as a filter. So you can have either commercial use or non-commercial use. And then you can further filter it through topics. So while coronavirus 2019 is the keyword that we're searching for, there's topics around humanities, social sciences, life science, agriculture, natural science, and so on and so forth. Then perhaps the most sought filter we've come across is for free data sets. And when we click on that, you realize that this is what has been made available online. So I'll just click on that to see if we can get more refined results. Right, so in the past month, rather in the past year, these are the free data sets on coronavirus 2019 that have been made available online. So if we go to the right side of the panel as well, so you have the publisher of the dataset report, the dataset rather, and you have the title of the dataset. So in this case, you have a title and a subtitle. And then you have a hyperlink to the owner of the dataset, just in case you want to see if there's additional information contained on the platform itself, because on the dataset search platform, you have a few elements of information such as the owner, the title, subtitle, and other information such as the format of the document. In this case, it's a zipped folder. Then the last update or the update to the data set. In this case, we're looking at July 21st, 2020. Then you have the authors. You also have the licenses, and this one varies depending on what report you're looking at. So there's also a description, and the description sometimes as well varies depending on who owns the data set and the kind of distribution they're looking to make of the information. So some of them have quite a lengthy description, and that just gives you insights into whether it is the data set of interest that you're looking for. Of course, that is not to say that data sets with no description or shorter descriptions aren't ideal for your purposes. At the end of the day, from a journalistic perspective, you want to look at as many data sets as possible to give you a wide understanding of the particular keyword you're looking into. Right, so that is a dataset search platform as we've seen it. So it's quite ideal if you're looking for huge amounts of information around a story that you want to tell based on numbers. And then moving forward, we're also looking at g.co/trends. So trends is basically understanding how the world is searching for information. And trends works on 4 main pillars. So one of the pillars that trends looks at is duration. Trends also looks at location. Then trends looks at language. And finally, trends also looks at timelines, or rather topics, sorry, not timelines, topics. So it's the topic, location, duration, and language. So these are the 4 pillars that advise how trends serves a user with insights on how people are looking for information online. And again, with this, I'll quickly jump into a demo screen and just show us how that works, so that we have a better understanding of how trends will populate its information based on how you use as well filters, because the platform also does allow you to filter information. So this is the Trends platform. When you open Google Trends, the URL for that is trends.google.com. So a quick tip on something interesting you can do with the Trends. If you look at the URL up here, it's Trends and then Geo USA. So for example, if you're looking for trends from Kenya, rather than type the URL as seen here, you can opt to do .co.ke. And I'll quickly show us another area where you can as well do this. So if you look at the top right side of the screen, you see that there's a country filter. There's a drop-down arrow for that. So it's basically you deciding that you want to look for information specific to a particular region. So those are the two ways you can type out your URL. So depending on where you are, for example, you can also look at .co.za if you're interested in looking at something from South Africa. So you'll see here again that the location is automatically selected in South Africa. And if we're looking at it from, say, Nigeria, .co.ng, sorry. Rather, this is .ng, not .co.ng. And it will open it for you. And as you can see, the country or location filter is Nigeria is selected. Of course, you can always just click on the drop down and select the area that you want to focus on, and pick it, and then good to go. All right, so something else that you can do with Trends here, for example, you already have the option to enter a search term or a search topic. And then there's other features, so it will give you examples of what has been looked at before. This is three examples. So there's a comparison between Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian. There's the FIFA World Cup, and then there's American football, and basically just looking at how people are searching for these terms. Then Fortnite, the video game, and then these are foods from Japan, for ramen and soba, and then cupcakes. So it just depends. So these are some of the things that you can do with Trends when you're interested in looking at content, at how people are searching for content online. So as well, depending on how you skew your location, you'll always find there's information around trending searches in the location that you're looking at. In this instance, a featured article is on coronavirus in South Africa. And then again, because we've selected South Africa, we usually have trending topics towards the bottom of the page. So these are some of the search terms and such topics that people are interested in looking at in South Africa. Then at the very bottom of the page, you have year in search. So these ones go as far back as 2001, when search started to share the archived searches for the year. So you have year in search from as far back as 2001, and at the end of this year, we'll also have updated it to 2020. Right, so another interesting element of search, of course, it is always ideal to sign in if you want to use search just for more customization and to be able to get better and insights on what is trending in search. So, excuse me, we'll jump into the explore option of trending searches. And here I'd like to highlight a few things just before I continue with that. I will quickly jump back into the presentation and show us something about the slides, rather something in the slides, before getting into the example itself proper. Right, so a few things to note with the platform is that the top panel here is topics and search terms, and I'll be showing us a demo of the difference between the two as we proceed. But you can have up to 5 different search terms or topics to compare, just to have an understanding of how people are looking for information online. Then as well here, you'll notice that there's filters you can use. So this is a location filter. You can pretty much select where in the world you want to look for the information of interest or the insights of interest on how people are searching. Excuse me. Then the next one is a timeline. So you can opt to look at custom duration of the particular search terms or search topics of interest, or you can go with the with the templates of durations, and I'll be showing us what those templates look like. You can select from up to 25 different categories of information, just to of categorizations of information, just to get a better understanding on the insights of how people are searching. And of course, there's also the information. So one thing that I did not mention earlier is that Google Trends sources its insights from 3 platforms. That is Google Search, Google News, and YouTube and YouTube Search. So those are the 3 areas where information is tabulated into the insights that you see within trends. So other things you can do with the information is you can download, embed, or share the information. And I'll also be showing us an interesting element of embedding. You can embed static information, or you can embed active information. So the difference is just that active information basically updates itself. And so if you have an article that you have worked on and you embed an active and you embed an active graph or geo-visualization from trends, it will update itself so that you don't need to make any changes to the article itself. But of course, if you prefer to have a static information, you can also just choose to keep it static and embed that. So this juncture, I will then jump into the demo on the website and show us how it works, just so we have a better understanding of it. Right, so now that we have that open, I'll just expand the screen so that we have a better look at what's happening. So quickly, we'll go into some search terms. Let's look, for example, at how coronavirus is being searched. So you can have it as, let's go with the search term, then we'll add a comparison and have corona as a standalone. Then let's look at COVID-19. And then finally have coronavirus disease. Right, so what we have on top here are all search terms. And if I can quickly change one and show us the difference between a search term and a search topic. So what I've put here is a topic, and as you can see, there's a caution that comes up. This comparison contains both search terms and topics, which are measured differently. So it's just a caution, a point to note that if you're looking at comparisons of how terms and topics are being looked at, the measures for the two are different. So it's advisable not to mix them, as it might have an impact on the kind of results you get. So we'll just amend this to the search term that we had. And instead of worldwide, we can select, let's go with Nigeria and select that. So instead of the past 12 months, you have the, so here at this juncture, I want to mention that you have different presets for time filters. So you can look at how people have been searching for the various terms in the past hour, in the past 4 hours, in the past day. excuse me, in the last 7 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 5 years, and 2004 to present. So 2004 to present is when we first started archiving how people have been searching. Of course, we launched Google Search back in 1998. So archiving didn't start until about 6 years later. So here we'll go with 7 days, but as well, instead of 7 days, you can opt to customize the time range so that you're just looking at, say, the past 5 days. So we'll go with the 24th to the 29th. Right, so instead of that, let's click on that and then click OK. And you'll see that the visual of the graph has changed a bit. And then we can also look at categories. So say you're interested in information that has been categorized as news and not all categories. So if you click on that as well, you see that the graph will give us some kind of change with every filter that we tweak. So for the sources as well, we can go with the news search and see. All right, so that just means that there's not enough content to generate a visual for news search. So if you go to image search, again, we get the same outcome. So we'll keep it to the general web search. And then a few other things to note. So on the 24th of July 2020, coronavirus was searched at 100%, and then corona was searched at 49%. COVID-19 got 50%, and then coronavirus disease got 0%. So one thing I'd like to mention about these percentages is that, or rather the figures shown, is that the only percentage representation of search. And because here we're comparing 4 different search terms, this is what on the 24th of July, search interest looked like for the 4 terms that we're looking at. That is not to say that 100% of all searches went to coronavirus. What it just means is that in comparison to all the terms, coronavirus had the highest interest in people searching for information about it. So if we were to include a different term, if we were to look at an additional term like Cyril Ramaphosa, you'll realize that he also didn't feature very highly on search. Let's see if I can get right. So if you look at that as a search term, you'll realize that at some point the English Premier League also spiked quite high at some point. Let's see if we can change this and look at a different search term. Let's see. All right, so you can see that again on the 24th of July, if we can just go back to that, is that in comparison to the different search terms that we previously had, lockdown and coronavirus have the top spot as the most as highest ranked in such interest. But previously, when we didn't have lockdown, you noticed that coronavirus had 100% of interest in comparison to the other search terms. So this is what I meant when I said that the percentiles are not absolute figures, but they just represent such interest. So sometimes if you tweak the various search terms of interest, you'll notice that certain search terms in comparison to others rank either highly or lowly, or people have interest in them either low or high. So that's just something of interest to mention. So as we scroll down, a few other things to note is that you also have a graphical representation of search volumes depending on what country you're looking at. And usually when you hover over an area that has such interest shown, and how that works, if I can digress a bit, is that the geographical visualization is generated from volumes of such interest. So on the 24th of July 2020, in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, that is Abuja, coronavirus had 100% interest, and all other search terms that we have ranked really low, very low. But if you go to Lagos, coronavirus had 28% of interest. Corona had 41%. COVID-19 did not have substantive interest, neither did coronavirus disease, but lockdown had 31% of interest, and so on and so forth. So any place with a color, with a color demarcation shows you such interest. For example, Ogun State had 100% interest in lockdown. Then Rivers State had 100% interest in coronavirus. So again, you have breakdown by sub-region, and you can always select the sub-regions, or you can select city. That's another filter that we have. Since cities don't have enough content to give us a visual, so you can isolate to just one topic, or you can just select the default. So it just depends on how you want to skew the visual. And then there's also individual geo demarcations for topics. So coronavirus had interest in the Federal Capital Territory and in Lagos. Corona had interest in Lagos and Rivers State. And the other two don't, the other two, so that's coronavirus disease and COVID-19, don't have enough samples to create a geovisual. And then lockdown had interests in Ogun State, in Lagos, and in Rivers State. So as I mentioned when I was introducing trends, you can opt to embed this. You have the option of downloading the visual as a CSV file, comma separated values file, and then you can visualize it to your own specs. But you can also choose to embed it. So in this case, we're looking at static data that will not update because our time range is pretty fixed. So I'll go back and change that filter, and then we can have a look at how that changes. But then you have an HTML code which you can use to embed, and then you have two visual outputs. So this is what it looks like on desktop, and then on mobile, that is what that looks like. So once you're satisfied with that, it's a matter of copying the HTML code and pasting it in the page where you want the visual to appear. All right, so let's quickly jump into this and say we want to look at results for the past 30 days. All right, so 30th of June, there was an interest in lockdown. And you see that how that has changed over time. So it does not mean that the search volume has reduced. It just means that from, say, 3rd of July, other search terms had more interest in comparison to lockdown, coronavirus, COVID-19, corona, and coronavirus disease. So because a search cannot disappear once it has been done, we're just indexing interest depending on topic at a particular point in time. So let's jump again into the embed option. And as you can see, you can keep this updated. And the data is live and will keep updating. So as and when this changes, if you have embedded it in your story, it can then keep updating the information that you're interested in looking at. But as well, if you only want to capture the snapshot of such interest in particular terms over 30 days, you can opt to keep it static as well. And this will not change even as the information updates in real time. So it will show you this is Nigeria, this is past 30 days, and this is web search. Again, for mobile, that's what it will look like. And so that is how the trends platform works. And this is for comparison. If I can quickly jump to trending searches, I'll show us a few things of interest. So for example, uh, today, Wednesday, as of what has been populated, you have a lot of searches about football, and then you also have searches about George Floyd. So it will show you 10,000 plus searches and then 2,000 plus searches. So these figures are usually not given as absolute because within the Google structure, we have very strict policies on privacy that prevent us from sharing absolute information about people searches. So it's just an index of interest. So it will not give you such instances, for example, as gender split, age split, and other demographics of that nature. It will usually just give you the volumes of such interest. Right, so going back, we look at, so Tuesday, these are the various search terms and topics that were of interest. And then this goes back about 7 days. But if you wanted to go back beyond the 7 days, as I've shown you the time filter, we also have the option. So another interesting element of trends, perhaps as I wind up on trends, that I'd like to share with us is when you want to compare durations of search, I will just remove all our search terms. So say you want to understand what people are particularly interested in searching in at a time like this last year. There's a way you can do that by using the time filter. And this usually works best when you haven't selected a topic. So let's say in Nigeria in the past, so you click on the location and then you click on the time filter. You click on the drop down.
to viewers, or rather to people searching. And then other things that were of interest include info, top-level domain, Africa Cup of Nations, Big Brother Niger, and Harry Maguire English football. So that's how you can compare search terms around durations in Google Trends. Right, so then we advance to the next section of the presentation as we wind up, and that will be how to visualize the data. Right, so we've been looking at the trends, how to compare search terms, how to look at topics as well, and then how to use the various filters and the sources of information, and how you can embed or interact with the content. So a few examples of how people have been searching for information. For example, in the US, we can look at trends data of how people have been searching for cancer per county. And this is what I referenced when I was looking at a sub-regional vis-a-vis a city split of search interest. So again, this is just a comparison of interest in the topic, but then interest in granular zeroed in topics such as mortality rate of cancer by county in the US. In the UK as well, a lot of people use trend search as a go-to for health-related complications, and so trends also will show you how people are accessing information around categories in that manner. And as I mentioned, search archives up to information up to 25 categories. So in the UK as well, you have search interest around particular topics and terms. In this case, coronavirus, and some of the go-to questions is how to claim 80% of wages from government, how to volunteer for National Health Service during coronavirus, and so on and so forth. So perhaps I could quickly jump back into trends and show some elements of how you can get these queries. So I'll just change my screen a bit and jump back into trends. Then I can show us a few of these elements. So if we go back to what we were initially looking at, so past hour, so let's look at coronavirus. Then not past hour, let's go with 7 days and look at COVID-19. Then look at coronavirus disease. Right, so we have a healthy enough sample of comparisons to go with, and as you can see, around 24th of July, that was the spike in interest in coronavirus searches online. So again, geo visualization and then sub-regional split. So related queries is a point of interest where you will get to understand just how people are interacting with the keywords that you have set up. So people are looking at the Italian league in relation to coronavirus, and then Nigeria coronavirus starts in relation to the terms we have up there. The news about coronavirus in Nigeria. So these are the queries that people are asking about coronavirus. And then coronavirus India, flashscoremobi.com. And then there's Donald Trump, coronavirus in USA, Nigeria coronavirus news update. And this is also shown with the other search terms that we have. So COVID-19 update in Nigeria, news headlines today. And sometimes you'll also get related queries not showing up because of the small sample of information about a particular term or topic. So in this case, coronavirus disease, while having a geographical visual representation, does not have related queries that people are asking about it. So that's a point that I needed to make concerning how people access information on search and how indices for search are created around how people are interacting with the information of interest. So then we jump back into our presentation. So finally, we'll look at how to visualize the data. And very quickly, the challenge with the visualization is once upon a time, you needed to have skills to create graphs, even static ones, to show the kind of information that you'd want to look at. But today, there's a bit of a shift in how you can present information around numbers. And you don't have to be an expert on graphical design to be able to achieve this. And sometimes it's not even the traditional graphs that we're looking at. In this case, on screen, we have a visual created by pudding.cool that shows ranking of emotional actions of Elmo, a character in Sesame Street. So 19% of searches about Elmo shrugging, 18% of searches about Elmo dancing, 9% about him being happy, and so on and so forth. So this is how people are searching for information about Elmo online. But today you have many different ways of presenting data visually. So it's not just leaving it to the people who described as experts in data visualization. Through a platform working in partnership with Google known as Flourish, you're able to generate visuals, both static and animated, that can really enhance how you tell stories online. So what we have on screen is an example of a visual that's created to show highest grossing movies of a time. So in this case, it is information available online, or you can, and sometimes it's also information based off of a survey that you've conducted. So it's information changing over time, and as well because sometimes it's a data set, you can source the information from datasets such as I showed us earlier. So in this case, we're looking at high grossing movies and how that has been changing from about 1975 to 2018. So I'll quickly jump into another demo of Flourish and show us some of the capabilities of the platform. So this is what it looks like when you log into Flourish for the very first time. And for basic accounts, you can get to use it for free. But if you want a corporate account, it's paid for service. But news organizations do qualify for a free corporate account. All you have to do is apply for access to the Flourish team. So I'll quickly sign in and show us some of the features that Flourish is capable of from a visualization perspective. So what you're seeing on screen is a list of visuals that I have created on my account, and I'll be showing us how what some of those look like, as well as a quick take on how you can create those. So I'll start with one that shows a comparison of personalities. This one is good in the instance where you're telling then and now story. So in this case, we're looking at President Buhari of Nigeria as a military man, once upon a time, and then as head of state now. So it's just a good way to show a comparison of what he looked like once upon a time and what he looks like today. Two options of that presentation. You can have it as a slide or you can have it as a fade. Either way, both are activated by interacting with the visual. And then you can export and publish it and download either the image or the HTML, but those would be static. But if you wanted to present it as an interactive visual, then all you have to do is copy the visualization link or embed code, and you have options for this as well. So you have the script, you have the accelerated mobile pages, and you have an iframe. So it just depends on what your platform allows you in terms of best output, and then you can present that to your readers. I'll show us another example of data that we can, or a visualization that we can use with especially big sets of data. So this is a look at volumes of trade globally. So what we have here is dummy text. This was just for example purposes, but you can have the large numbers, and this one is ranging from 1960 to 2018. So sometimes it's not easy to tell a story with the static visuals of such huge numbers. So Flourish has made it such that readers can get to appreciate the changes in some of the numbers over the years. In this case, we're looking at how volumes of trade has changed globally for some countries. So here we're looking at how China suddenly became the highest trading nation with other nations globally between 1960 and 2018. And you can see that's changing over time. As well with this, so this is the preview of the data, and then the data itself looks like that with respect to the duration. So here you have, this is a basic spreadsheet, and you have the volumes of trade in 1960. And this runs all the way to 2017, as we had seen. And this is for multiple countries. So sometimes, depending on which countries have the highest volumes of trade, it will only show you up to a certain number, because the comparison for other countries is significantly lower. So you can then present your data in this manner. So that's the data itself, and that's the preview. So the data, if you have a spreadsheet, download it from your computer as a CSV file, and then you can upload it to the platform. And then you can then tweak a few things about the visual itself. And once you're done, it's as simple as exporting and publishing it. Again, you have the option of script, which is often recommended because that is the basis for a lot of websites. But then you also have accelerated mobile pages. That is in case you have activated it in on your web domain. Then you also have an iframe. So it just depends on what gives you the best output. Then you just copy that, embed it into your content manager, and then you're good to go. All right, so at this juncture, I would like to end the presentation there today. Occasioned by the delay, we have overrun what was stipulated in terms of time for today's session. But in case you have any questions about trainings or the tools, reach out to the newslabsupport@google.com. And you can also use the same email to request for trainings on Google Hangouts for individual newsrooms. Or if you have questions about today's session, you can also use the same email address and find out or get assistance as you need it. So the next Google News Initiative live training session will be tomorrow. That's actually Thursday, the 29th. Sorry, I'd not changed those dates properly. So Thursday, the Thursday, the 30th of July at 1:30 p.m., and it will be on environmental journalism. So thank you so much for making the time today. And as always, we're happy to give these sessions to you and hope that you find some use for them. I hope to see as many of you back online tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again so much for logging in. So it has been I've been your facilitator for the session, Eugene Okumu, teaching fellow for the Google News Initiative, the Google News Lab in Sub-Saharan Africa. I hope to see you tomorrow. Right. So good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from.